The Galactic Hunting Guild had seen many worlds fall to their sport. Apex predators, they thrived on the thrill of the hunt, always seeking new prey to challenge their skills and cunning. Their technology was unmatched, their tactics flawless. Over countless hunts across the galaxy, they had never encountered a species they couldn't dominate. Now, they had set their sights on a new challenge: humans. Clad in sleek, chameleon-like armor, the alien hunters touched down in the shadow of an untouched forest. Their stealth ships hummed as they hovered above the treetops, cloaking them from sight and sound. Each hunter, towering and imposing, moved with a predatory grace, invisible to the naked eye. The hunt would be swift, they assumed. Earth was a backwater planet, its inhabitants primitive compared to the advanced civilizations they had conquered. This was merely an entertaining diversion for them. But arrogance had a way of dulling perception. Below, in the forested valley, a human special forces unit was conducting routine reconnaissance. Captain James Anderson, a seasoned soldier in his mid-30s, surveyed the dense landscape with trained eyes. His team was small but elite, handpicked for missions where survival depended on skill, wit, and adaptability. Each man in his squad was a specialist. Corporal Daniels, the sharp-eyed sniper, Sergeant Ramirez, the demolition expert, and Lieutenant Polinho, a master tracker. They'd been through hell together, but nothing had prepared them for the silent menace now descending upon them. Anderson felt it first, a shift in the atmosphere, a stillness that was too deliberate. He paused mid-step, signaling the rest of the team to halt. The forest was alive, but now it seemed unnaturally quiet. No birds, no rustling leaves, nothing but the faint hum of tension in the air. He frowned, his instincts stirring. In his line of work, such silence was often a precursor to danger. Anyone else feel that? Anderson whispered, keeping his voice low. Daniels, perched in a nearby tree with his rifle trained on the horizon, nodded. Something's off, Captain. Can't see it yet, but I can feel it. Ramirez shifted uneasily. Could be some kind of recon drone. Enemy tech. No, Polinho said, his voice cold and certain. This is different. Not human. The team had encountered strange tech before, advanced enemy drones, cloaking devices, even stealth aircraft, but this felt predatory. The kind of danger you sense in the wild, not from machines, but from creatures that knew how to hunt. Anderson's hand tightened on his rifle. Stay sharp. We're not alone. Unbeknownst to the humans, the alien hunters were already watching, their sophisticated sensors tracking every movement. The aliens marveled at how unaware the humans seemed, how vulnerable. One hunter prepared to strike, ready to claim the first trophy in what was meant to be a quick hunt. But just as the alien raised its energy blade, preparing to leap from the shadows, Anderson's head snapped in its direction. For a fraction of a second, the hunter hesitated. How had the humans sensed him? He had been utterly silent, his form invisible, his scent masked by their advanced cloaking tech. Yet the human's gaze lingered on the exact spot where the hunter crouched, as if he could feel the weight of those unseen eyes. Daniels, East Perimeter, Anderson barked, voice tense but composed. Without hesitation, Daniels swung his rifle and fired, a single bullet cutting through the thick foliage. There was a sharp, metallic clang, followed by the alien's guttural snarl. Its cloaking field shimmered, momentarily disrupted by the impact. What the hell? Ramirez muttered, eyes wide. For the first time, they saw their enemy. The alien's form flickered into view, towering and armored, its skin blending with the forest like a chameleon. Its elongated helmet gleamed, and its deadly blade hummed with energy. Contact! Anderson shouted, dropping to one knee and unleashing a volley of gunfire. The alien vanished again, its cloaking field reactivating as it darted back into the shadows, but not before Anderson's bullets found their mark. Dark, viscous blood splattered the leaves. We're being hunted, Polinho said grimly, his eyes narrowing as he scanned the tree-line. Anderson's mind raced. They were outmatched in terms of technology, but if there was one thing he knew, It was how to fight when outnumbered and outgunned. These creatures may have advanced weaponry, but they didn't know the terrain like his team did. And more importantly, they had underestimated the humans. "We're not prey," Anderson growled, rallying his team. "Not today." As the alien hunter regrouped, wounded and surprised by the humans' quick reaction, Anderson's team prepared. They had faced impossible odds before, and this would be no different. He glanced at Polinho, who was already studying the tracks the alien left behind. Daniels reloaded, eyes sharp, ready for the next shot. Ramirez began setting traps, knowing that brute force wouldn't win this battle. Anderson could sense the shift in his team. The aliens may have come to hunt, but they were about to learn that humans were not easily cornered. The alien hunters regrouped, cloaked once more in their near-invisible armor, but there was a ripple of unease among them. They had never encountered prey like this. In their arrogance, they had expected a swift kill, a quick victory, yet these humans had already wounded one of their own. It wasn't supposed to be possible, but now, with their blood staining the forest floor, they knew they had miscalculated. Captain Anderson crouched low, scanning the trees for any movement. The forest felt like a living entity, the air thick with anticipation. His unit had survived the first attack, but they all knew the enemy was far from finished. Worse, they still didn't fully understand what they were up against. "Ramirez, you ready?" Anderson asked quietly. Ramirez, crouching beside a tree, nodded, his hands busy rigging a tripwire to a cluster of explosives. "Locked and loaded. They're not getting the drop on us again." Lieutenant Polinho, the team's tracker, had been working furiously to decode the aliens' hunting patterns. His fingers traced the nearly invisible footprints left in the underbrush, his mind running through possible attack angles. He glanced at Anderson. "They're methodical. They've been circling us, testing our responses. They won't underestimate us again." Daniels, the sniper, perched high in a tree, spoke through his comm. "They're fast, too. I barely caught that one before it slipped back into the shadows. Whatever tech they're using, it's cutting edge. Hard to track, but not impossible." Anderson considered their options. The aliens were clearly more advanced, better gear, superior tech, but his team had something they didn't: experience, adaptability, and an unyielding will to survive. "We need to flip the script," Anderson said. "If they're hunting us, we hunt them back. We use the terrain to our advantage. Make them bleed for every inch." The team moved swiftly, scattering into the forest with military precision. They'd fought against everything from enemy insurgents to unknown threats in hostile environments. Here, they would turn the dense, unforgiving forest into a weapon. Polinho led the way, laying false trails, using his knowledge of tracking to mislead the hunters. Ramirez set traps, from tripwires to motion-triggered explosives hidden beneath the leaves. Daniels found vantage points, taking high ground where his rifle could see across long stretches of the forest, waiting for the moment the alien cloak would flicker. Anderson remained at the center, coordinating each move like a conductor guiding an orchestra through a deadly symphony. As night descended, the forest became even more of a labyrinth, but the humans had one advantage. While the aliens relied on their advanced technology, the soldiers relied on their instincts. They had trained to fight in the dark, to feel the subtle shifts in the environment, to sense danger before it struck. And the aliens were starting to feel it. One hunter, prowling silently through the underbrush, paused. His enhanced vision scanned the terrain ahead, but something felt wrong. Too quiet. He reached out with his senses, detecting no immediate threat, but just as he stepped forward, there was a sharp snap beneath his foot. An explosion ripped through the forest, a carefully placed mine detonating, sending the hunter sprawling into the dirt. His cloaking device malfunctioned, flickering off completely. Daniels was ready. His sniper rifle spoke once, a precise shot that pierced the hunter's armor. The alien's body slumped to the ground, motionless. "One down," Daniels reported, voice cold. "Keep moving." The death of their comrade sent a ripple of anger through the remaining hunters. They regrouped, communicating through silent signals, determined to crush these humans who dared to strike back. But for the first time, they felt something unfamiliar creeping in. Not fear, they didn't know fear, but something like it. Frustration, uncertainty. Meanwhile, Polinho had led another hunter on a wild chase, deliberately leaving signs to be found, only to vanish into the dense thicket moments before the hunter could strike. The alien, intent on the trail, didn't notice the crude trap until it was too late. A cluster of sharpened stakes, hidden beneath a bed of leaves, impaled the hunter through its legs. The creature roared in pain, its body struggling to break free. Anderson emerged from the shadows, rifle raised. "Not so tough now, are you?" A single shot silenced the alien snarls. By now, the remaining hunters realized they had miscalculated in every way possible. This wasn't a hunt anymore, it was war. Their once superior tactics were being dismantled piece by piece by the humans' relentless counterattacks. The aliens regrouped once more, their numbers dwindling and their confidence shattered. But the humans didn't let up. As Anderson's team pressed their advantage, they were no longer fighting merely to survive. They were fighting to win. Every trap set, every bullet fired, every maneuver was precise, calculated. They were stripping the hunters of their technological superiority, dragging them down into a battle where raw instinct and survival skills ruled. "Stay sharp," Anderson said over the comms. "They're not done yet." But deep down, Anderson knew the hunters were running out of options. The tables had turned. Now, it was the aliens who were being hunted. The forest was eerily quiet now, the air thick with tension. Anderson's team moved like shadows, blending with the terrain, their hearts steady and their resolve hardened. They had struck down several of the alien hunters, each victory earned through grit and precision. But the hunt wasn't over. The most dangerous of the predators remained, and they were closing in. Captain Anderson crouched behind a boulder, scanning the perimeter. The alien hunters were adapting. Their initial arrogance had faded, replaced by a calculated fury. He could feel it, the tightening of the circle. The final battle was near, and this time, the aliens were coming in force. "They're regrouping," Polinho reported. 3, maybe 4 left, moving fast. "They're pissed." "Good," Anderson replied, his tone cold. "Let them come. We're ready." Ramirez finished setting a final trap, an intricate network of explosives rigged to detonate at the slightest touch. He wiped the sweat from his brow, giving Anderson a quick nod. "This one's going to make fireworks." Daniels, perched high in a nearby tree, chambered a fresh round into his sniper rifle, eyes sharp as ever. "If they show, they're dead." Anderson gave a tight smile. His team had been through hell, but they were still standing. These alien hunters might be more advanced, but they didn't know what it meant to fight with desperation, with survival hanging by a thread. That was the human's edge, the ability to endure, to adapt, to strike back with savage ingenuity. The forest had become their battleground, every tree, every shadow, an ally in the fight. Then, through the stillness they came. The first alien hunter appeared at the edge of the clearing, its armor rippling as it activated its cloaking device. But the humans were ready. Daniels, hidden among the branches, had been tracking its every move. He squeezed the trigger, and a single bullet cracked through the air. The alien flickered into visibility as the shot struck its shoulder, staggering it backward. The forest erupted into chaos. The remaining hunters surged forward, their sleek forms barely visible as they darted through the trees with lethal speed. Energy weapons flared to life, bolts of plasma searing through the air. Anderson's team split up, moving like wolves, their movements disciplined and precise. Ramirez's trap was the first to spring. An alien, chasing Polinho through the undergrowth, triggered the explosive web. There was a deafening blast, and the hunter was engulfed in a cloud of fire and shrapnel. Polinho didn't look back, vanishing into the trees as the alien collapsed, its body smoking and broken. "That's one," Ramirez called, grinning beneath his helmet. But the victory was short-lived. Another hunter closed in on Anderson's position, its massive frame tearing through the foliage. The creature moved with terrifying speed, its energy blades slashing through the air. Anderson barely dodged, rolling to the side as a blade carved into the earth where he'd stood. He raised his rifle and fired, but the alien deflected the shot with inhuman reflexes. The hunter lunged again, but this time Anderson was ready. He sidestepped the strike and pulled a combat knife from his belt. As the alien swung its blade, Anderson slipped inside its guard, plunging the knife into a gap in the alien's armor. The creature howled in pain, staggering as dark blood flowed from the wound. Before it could recover, Anderson fired his pistol point-blank into the alien's helmet. The visor shattered, and the creature fell to the ground, its body twitching before going still. Breathing hard, Anderson wiped the blood from his knife and glanced around. 2 down. Daniel's voice crackled over the comm. Got eyes on the last 2, closing in on Ramirez's position. Ramirez was already moving, weaving through the trees with the 2 remaining hunters on his tail. They were faster, more relentless than before, but Ramirez had spent his life outrunning death. He led them straight into the heart of the ambush zone. As the hunters charged, Ramirez slid into cover, triggering the final explosive. The blast rocked the forest, tearing through the undergrowth and catching both hunters in the explosion's deadly radius. Their armored forms crumpled under the force, reduced to smoldering wreckage. Silence fell. The last of the hunters lay defeated, their broken bodies scattered across the battlefield. Anderson regrouped with his team, scanning the carnage. Each soldier bore the marks of battle, bruises, cuts, and the weight of exhaustion, but they were alive. They had faced the galaxy's most fearsome predators and had come out on top. Everyone accounted for? Anderson asked. All here. Paulinho replied, though his face was grim. But this was no ordinary hunt. They'll send more. Anderson nodded, knowing Paulinho was right. The alien hunters would not take this defeat lightly. But for now, they had won, and that was enough. They underestimated us, Anderson said, his eyes scanning the horizon, already anticipating the next threat. They won't make that mistake again. As the team began to move out, the forest settled into an uneasy calm. The humans had turned the tables on their hunters, proving that survival wasn't just about strength or technology. It was about resilience, adaptation, and knowing that, in the end, even the mightiest predator can become prey.